Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. It is Tuesday, May the 10th. Ian Cameron with you. It might just be me today, believe it or not, on the show. And yes, after pretty much having a guest every single day since the beginning of the playoffs, it's a guest-free day today. There won't be a guest today, but we will have a special guest joining us the rest of the week. We'll have one tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday coming up for the rest of the week. But today, it's just going to be me. Andrew McInnis actually might be joining us as well. We'll see if he can make it. But either way, Tuesday card, we are excited and ready to break it down here on a Tuesday. And don't forget, it is Tuesday, which means it's BetCast time here on the Ice Guys tonight. And we're looking forward to it. Look, I'm always excited for the BetCast. I mean, every Tuesday, it's fun. Just chill, relax, watch the games, live betting, shoot the shit, drink a lot, all that stuff on a BetCast. It's always fun. But this BetCast, I'm truly fired up for it. I think it's going to be one of the best. It's one of the most exciting, dramatic, I think, BetCasts we've had this year. We've got four imperative, critical game fives. You know, the swing game in each of these series, they're all tied 2-2. Boston, Carolina, Tampa Bay, Toronto, St. Louis, Minnesota, as well as LA, Edmonton. I mean, you can't ask for a better night to have a BetCast. So we're looking forward to it, no question, and excited about the BetCast here taking place tonight. So again, as always, you want to join us on the BetCast. We had a very good turnout last Tuesday. You can tell the playoffs arrived. We had definitely more people joining us on the BetCast last week. Make sure you send me a DM or an email. You can email bobano350@gmail.com as well. If you don't have Twitter, don't use the DMs with Twitter. You can also reach me that way, and I will make sure I send you the link to tonight's BetCast before it begins. And that way you can join us at some point. And we're going to probably try to go throughout the entire night. We did last week. We went right till the end of the night when the late games ended. So we'll try to do that again here tonight with the BetCast. And like I said, I think it is just an extraordinary night to have one of these live BetCasts when you think about the enormity and the importance of each game tonight. Very critical games when you talk about a 2-2 series and game 5. So we're definitely looking forward to that tonight. So the BetCast, as always, starting at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time tonight. Make sure you join us for that. We're looking forward to it. All right, last night in the NHL, the Pittsburgh Penguins, taking a stranglehold of their series over the New York Rangers, a 3-1 series lead. Credit to our guest yesterday, Nate Longpre, maybe a little bit of a homer bet, but still, it was a winning bet. That's all that matters. Winning pick with the Pittsburgh Penguins to get the job done yesterday. Look, flat out, they look better than the Rangers right now. The Rangers cannot defend this team at the moment. There's breakdowns left and right defensively. I think it's unfair, the criticism that Igor Shesterkin is getting. Yeah, has he been as good as he was in the regular season? No, of course not. But I think to say that he's been absolute shit and to say that he's been absolutely dreadful in this series is also incorrect. He's not getting a lot of help. He really isn't. I mean, it's been a rough series for some of these defensemen. And you look at it, Adam Fox has struggled. Adam Fox has chipped in a little offensively, but in his own end, he's had some problems. Let's put it that way. Losing checks, losing, coverage of the guy he's supposed to be keeping checking and, keeping an eye on. That's an issue. It's happened a lot with the Rangers blue line. I've said all series long about how they've constantly had problems defending Sidney Crosby, Jake Gensel, and Brian Rust. That line, it continues to be an issue with them. But to say this is all on Shesterkin is not fair. It's just not right to do that. Has he played as well? No. But he hasn't gotten a whole lot of help either right now. Shout out to Alex P. Smith watching us at the airport. Yeah, he's traveling today. I believe he said he'll be back with us on Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. So Thursday's going to be the day we see Alex again. He is on the Wild to bounce back tonight in Game 5 at home and also the first period over there. So a couple of picks as well from Alex. So I hope you get home safely, Alex. We'll see you definitely on Thursday to have you back on the show. Looking forward to that. But yeah, definitely when you look at last night, Pittsburgh's just their forecheck has really caused the Rangers problems. There's no doubt. And Louis Domingue's been solid. I mean, he's gotten a lot of goal support. That's been the nice thing for him in this series, but give him credit. He's played well. And here are the Pittsburgh Penguins. They have just been terrific in this series, and now they have a chance to close it out in Game 5 at MSG coming up on Wednesday night. We also saw the Florida Panthers less than 2 minutes away from going down 3-1 in that series against the Capitals, but they tie it late. Sam Reinhart, with the extra attacker, gets the game tied 2-2, and then the Florida Panthers win it in overtime. Carter Verhaeghe with the overtime winning goal, for 2 goals for him in the game, and a 3-2 comeback win for the Florida Panthers. Cardiac Cats do it again. It wasn't pretty, but I thought they deserved the W last night. You know, they had the major advantage in shots and territorial play. The power play, though, did let them down again, and that continues to be a problem. And I still don't know if the Florida Panthers are going to win this series if they go through the entire series not doing a damn thing with the man advantage. So that is still an issue of contention for them, and that's still an area where they've got to look to improve moving forward in this series. But in spite of the power play continuing to come up short, they found a way to come back and get themselves tied at 2 games apiece with the Washington Capitals now, with that series going back to Florida for Game 5. The Colorado Avalanche bust out the Bruins in Music City. They sweep away the Nashville Predators 5-3, and then end up getting the 4-0 series victory there, which was good for me. I cashed a ticket with plus 375 with that series to be 4-0 and a Colorado sweep. So all I needed was either them to win in 4 or them to win in 5. Those are the 2 bets I placed before the series, Avs in 4, Avs in 5. As long as one of those hits, one of those wins, I'm profitable. And that's exactly what ended up happening there. So very happy to see that. And look, Colorado they didn't screw around. That's what I liked. You know, they went to Nashville. The only reason Game 2 was competitive was because of Connor Ingram looking like Connor Brodeur for one night. And really, other than that, it was domination from Colorado. Game 1, they absolutely crushed Nashville. Game 3, the power play absolutely lit them up, destroyed that Nashville penalty kill, leading them to victory in Game 3. And then you saw last night, great pushback from Colorado. I give Nashville credit for one thing. You know, they didn't want to get swept on home ice. They played like it. And you saw them. They actually took a brief lead in the third period last night. But Colorado was just too much for them. The defensive play on the blue line, too. It's not just what they're doing up front with McKinnon and Rantanen and Landeskog and Kadri and Burakovsky, who scores a goal last night, and the incredible depth up front. What Cale Makar and Devon Taves are doing from the blue line is just sick right now. It really is. I mean, it's just absolutely special to watch. It's incredible to see just how these 2 guys can just take over a game from their position on the defense, on the blue line. It's just a phenomenal. It's just a joy, you know. As a hockey fan, you enjoy watching the sport. We all do. Andrew's going to join us now. He enjoys watching the sport. You just enjoy people that have that kind of talent and that kind of game-breaking ability. And both from the blue line, Cale Makar and Devon Taves have that. And Andrew, we saw that last night in the 4th game victory for Colorado, finishing off the sweep against Nashville.
Absolutely. You know, I was doing a radio show before that game yesterday, and I said, you know what, if they asked me, what do you like for props for Nashville? Not Colorado. What about Nashville? Give us a few props. I said, well, it's going to be the top guys. So how about Philip Forsberg breaks out of something here and gets involved? Happy to see him score. And then maybe some Roman Josi shot props. The reason why I bring that up isn't to pat myself on the back. It's to say that there's just not enough with Nashville, right? There just wasn't. Their best wouldn't even be enough. And, you know, and that game went to overtime where Connor Ingram stood on his head, and that might have been the one to avoid the sweep. But there's just too much that Colorado has right now. And that's what separates them. I mean, hats off to the GM and the management team, because it's not just McKinnon, Rantanen, and Landeskog. It's Kadri, Burakovsky. There's so many guys down the list. Nichushkin, JT Compher. There's so many players down the list and then you talk about the offensive defensemen, like you mentioned. So I know that we don't want to be broken records, Ian, and we don't want to say stuff just to pat ourselves, but you and I and Alex both love the third period elimination game overs. And Yesterday I got the third period over 2.5 at plus 120. Ended it with 4 goals, I believe, in that period. Yeah. It's unbelievable. It's one of those things where it's hard to sit here and say, Yeah, I think I'm going to bet on the third period a lot. Like we're doing a show. It's 2:21 right now. We're giving out a pick on it's pretty much an intermission play. I mean, some books do offer obviously the third period before the game starts, but and puck
But
lines.
MGM and DraftKings do. I know that because I always see them at those two books, third period before the game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice
Yeah.
to have. And one more. Well, oh yeah, one more thing I was going to say was that margin of victory. Continuously looking at these margins of victory, the puck lines in the playoffs, the puck line prices are crazy. And I'm not a huge puck line better. I know that you bet them sometimes, but not like for every bet you make. But it's become very apparent. If you liked Calgary and Reg yesterday, it was minus 105, Ian. If you liked them on the puck line, you got plus 170. And did they win by margin? Yes, they did. So from a value standpoint, an empty netter standpoint, and a playoff standpoint, it really seems like puck lines are the way to go right now.
Yeah, no doubt. People apparently don't know. Don't call me when I'm doing a show. So sorry about that. But nevertheless, the people know I'm on the air. It's ridiculous. But nevertheless, we move on. I agree with you there. I mean, the puck lines, we talked about it. How many of these teams are winning by a margin right now? And yeah, definitely, it's been remarkable to see it. There just hasn't been a boatload of close games. Of course, the one exception last night was Florida and Washington, which ended up going to overtime with Florida winning there. And the last game last night, finally, the Calgary Flames. Welcome to the playoffs, Johnny Hockey. Glad you could finally make it. Was very happy to see you last night. Johnny Gaudreau, look, he showed up last night. I got after it on Sunday. It was Vito and I on Sunday's show. I said, this team down 2-1. Here we go again with the Flames. And I'm getting upset if they lose this series because I think they're better than Dallas, flat out. I think they're a better hockey team than Dallas. There's no freaking way they should lose this series. And to see them down 2-1 and be as passive and just nothing going on offensively, so stagnant, especially in game 3 when they lost, I got pissed off on Sunday. And I called Johnny Gaudreau and said, are we going to do this again, Johnny? Playoffs where we can't find you with a telescope, game in and game out? Are we really going to do this again with you for another year? And I said about Tkachuk, stop headhunting John Klingberg and fighting guys that don't want to fight and want no part of it. Maybe do something offensively to help your team because that ain't going to help you win a series. But thankfully, Calgary, they showed up last night. Lindholm's been the one guy that every game in this series, he's been terrific. He scored again. And Johnny Gaudreau, he had chances all night. He was taking the puck to the net. He wasn't sitting around the outside in the periphery along the boards. He took it to the net, and he finally got – and he had a bunch of chances. He could have scored a couple of goals before finally he gets rewarded with a penalty shot, and he cashes in and he converts on it for a huge goal at the time to give Calgary a 2-0 lead, and they go on to win. The Calgary Flames manned up. They put their big boy pants on, and they manned up last night. They dominated that hockey game in a game they had to have. Well done, Calgary Flames. I'm off your back, at least for one night.
Yeah, I saw your tweet about Johnny Hockey. I said that it sounds kind of funny, Ian, but we talk about some of these just trends and stats and angles we've seen. Teams that score the first goal. That series is a real good example of that one. I mean, and I think in a couple of the series tonight, we'll talk about that too. But I think in that one in particular, the Dallas and Calgary, you score that first goal, it just gives your team. And I didn't actually end up betting this, but I said a few times yesterday, I could get down with the Calgary first period puck line just because I think it's first period sets the tone, and they certainly did that. But hey, Dallas is giving it a tough fight, man. It's going to be a great series. And excuse me, what I find really funny about this NHL round 1 is that if you take a look at the board today, all the games we'll break down together are tied 2 games apiece. If you look at all of those games, though, that have been played within the series, it's blowout after blowout after blowout. But it doesn't even matter because, all that matters is whether it was a win or a loss, which is what you hear the coaches say. But it's just so interesting. You look at the Boston series, you look at the Maple Leaf series, they're both tied at 2. All the games have been different, but it doesn't matter, who needs a 1 goal? Like some of these games, Ian, you could just turn off and you can, who's going to win. It's kind of funny that way.
Yeah, and the good news is, they don't give you 2 losses for a blowout loss. It's just
Yes.
1 loss, and that's the old adage, and we've certainly seen a lot of those in terms of blowout losses. All right, before we get to tonight's card, Andrew, you joined us just a few minutes ago. So, did you want to mention anything on your mind regarding Rangers Penguins last night or Panthers Capitals last night?
Look, I'm still not impressed with the Florida Panthers. That's for sure. I think
All
that
I heard was this gobbledygook from Brunette and the players. We're fixing the power play. We're working hard on the power play on Sunday, working overtime. We're going to show you some new looks, Washington, with the man advantage. What did it result in? Zilch in terms of production last night with the man advantage. Again.
It's shocking, really. But I mean, what I learned in the Pittsburgh and New York series, look, here's the thing. So, and I'll say this will be the last time you'll hear me say this. I haven't made a side wager in that series yet. I have Pittsburgh at 9-1. I thought it was 8-1. I checked, actually. It's been so long since I looked at the ticket. It's 9-1 to win the East, okay? And I'm a fan of Sidney Crosby. So for being a fan and for my ticket that I actually thought was great value, I'm cheering on the Pittsburgh Penguins. So everyone's calling me biased. Oh, you're just hating on the Rangers. No. I just thought all year long, Ian, and you've heard me say this 20 times, that Shesterkin got peppered a lot during the season and bailed out the Rangers. And now when he plays like an average or slightly below average goalie, they got exposed. And let's take a look at how much experience, how important that is in the playoffs. Look around the Penguins roster. Even a guy like Jake Gensel, how old is he? Like a year older than me? I mean, this guy is dripping with experience, way more than a lot of guys in that New York Rangers roster. And you can see it. You can really tell. And I don't want to hear anything about goaltending. Louis Domingue, he's holding it down. So I don't know. But I wanted to ask you something, Ian.
I'll be honest, though. Shesterkin getting thrown under the bus is ridiculous. If you're watching
that's
these
what I'm saying. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, has he played as good? No, as he did in the but no, this is the Rangers in front of him falling apart. Adam Fox is a mess defensively and in this series. I mean, he's been beaten to the net many times, especially by that top line. Okay, Andre Miller struggle on down. You rhyme off any Ranger defenseman in this series. They've been beaten. They've lost their checks. They've lost their coverage in the defensive zone time and time and time again. That's the difference in the series. You can't be egregious like that. Yep.
It's my hockey pet peeve.
Yep.
Look at the Maple Leaf series. You would think I was a goaltender growing up by the way I defend goalies.
Oh, I know you defend them. Yeah.
Sure. That glove, the glove side one on Jack Campbell when he stirred his glove after, he probably could have had that one. But the fact is, one game, Leafs Nation is ready to call this guy the Vezina winner and the best goalie that and then the next game, oh my God, we should have traded for a goalie. Are you kidding me? Come on. Like, you can't say how great one guy is one day and 2 days later say, I wish we traded this guy or traded for a goalie. I don't want to hear that, and you don't often enough see on Twitter or social media, wow, I can't believe that D-man pinched up there a little bit too much, which led to that 2-on-1, which caused the goalie. You don't hear anyone break. It's always just the goalie's fault, But what I wanted to ask you before we break down these games real quick, how much do you care about how a team finishes a game while they're being blown out? It's been kind of a topic of discussion with me and a couple of buddies and people on social media and stuff, because to me, it matters in the slightest as far as just effort and grit and giving a shit goes. And I know I'm known for chirping the Leafs, but those Nylander goals to me, Ian, I don't really care about them, the goals. What I do see when you look at him in the end of the game was all the memes you see going around Twitter right now. Have you ever seen where
the corner one-on-one battle he had in the corner where he just eased up and pulled up and just didn't give any sort of battle level, level.
So to me, that stuff matters more than the goals, because those goals might not have been scored in the first and second period when it wasn't a 5-0 blowout, So what do you think about that type of stuff? Not just in that series, but in general, when there's a marginal victory inbound, what do you look for and how much do you care about how a team plays in the third period?
I think in the Leafs case, it was nice to see some pushback the other night. Obviously, they had lost Game 4 already. Tampa Bay had that game well in hand. And it was nice to see that, even though we weren't coming back in that game, we had a nice third period. We were pushing back. We were trying to work on some things and build on some things and build at least a little good feeling and some level of confidence going into game 5. But at the same time, people are giving the Leafs all that credit for a nice little third period there. Some of it's Tampa putting their foot off the gas pedal, parking the bus. That's definitely part of the equation as well.
Exactly. And that's my point. Like, I'm never going to sit here and say, like, oh, like, not going to give any credit to that guy that scored, but it's more so like, wow, Nylander broke his slump. Here we go. Like, get ready for him to come firing next game. It's like, they were down 5-1 or whatever the score was. Let's see him score a goal when they're, it's 2-1 for the scoreboard. But I mean that in every series. Look at the St. Louis Blues and Wild series. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. That series, again, has been just like the Lightning series, where it's been a tight series as far as the series goes, but all the games have been pretty one-sided.
They have been. It's been crazy with that. And I thought that series would be awesome. And I guess in terms of, we're 2-2, we're down to a best of 3. You'd think, wow, what a great series it's been. Well, it's been disappointing. It's been underwhelming to me because they've all been lopsided final scores for the winning team throughout that series. So that's been the difficult part of that.
I got a feeling, though, Ian, in game 5, 6, and 7 for some of these series, we'll start seeing a little bit different stories.
Yeah, exactly. Now, there's some Leaf fans, too, that about the Nylander thing. Some Leaf fans were, hey, we're happy that we mentioned this and we criticized him for it. And then there's some that said, hey, ease up, give him a break. And some people were coming after someone who was very critical of Nylander on that play on the TNT broadcast, Eddie Olczyk, and saying, Eddie Olczyk had he was a fringe NHL player. He didn't have much of a career. You're a complete moron if you think that. Eddie Olczyk had a great career.
Did you see this picture?
Yeah.
This is the funniest thing ever.
Yeah. Nylander's hearing about that. Look, Eddie Olczyk he's an analyst. He's supposed to call it the way he sees it. And he says that was a piss poor effort. But to come after Eddie Olczyk's playing career, you must be millennials, or you must be too young to know better, or didn't watch the guy play. He had a nice career. To say Eddie Olczyk is some slum any hockey player and just were some rinky-dink, no-name, terrible, below-average, piss-poor hockey player is just so disrespectful and so false. It's mind-boggling. The guy was a very good player. He's, I think, one of the best analysts right now in the National Hockey League on television. I'm sure Rogers wishes they had him instead of some of the stiffs they have. But nevertheless, Eddie Olczyk is terrific on television. And for someone to disrespect his playing career when they probably didn't watch a fucking second of his career, it's sickening, in my opinion. But there you go. There's my diatribe with that. Leave Eddie Olczyk's career alone. You can hate what he said. You don't have to go and attack his career. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. But they'll take it out they'll try and find something personal to say bad about whoever said something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, want to jump into it? Want to jump into that game, or did you want to do Carolina Boston first?
We always go in time order.
Okay.
We always go in time order. So we'll start with Boston and Kakalaki here. Bruins and Hurricanes. Hurricanes minus 150. Home favorites here in Game 5 back in Raleigh. How about the total? Finally a 6 in this series. I guess odds makers finally got sick of 4 straight overs with the 5.5s they've been putting out there in this series. Series tied 2-2. Look, I'm committed to Carolina. I'm not ready to just abandon ship here because they lost the last 2 games against the Bruins. That was a brutally missed opportunity, in my opinion, on Sunday afternoon. That was a game that was a winnable game right there for the taking to go up 3-1 for Carolina. No Charlie McAvoy on the blue line. Hampus Lindholm was still out. You had it set up very nicely for Carolina. And look, they had the control of the game. They had control of the game in the first half. They were up 2-1. And then all of a sudden, penalty trouble hits the Hurricanes like a ton of bricks. They just could not stay out of the box. It was unreal to see it unraveled like that. Rod Brind'Amour challenging that tying goal, exacerbated it because they got a delay a game penalty because they lost that challenge. Then a 4-minute high sticking penalty that drew blood on Berger. I mean, it turned into a comedy act with just how undisciplined the Carolina Hurricanes turned into in that game. And they paid the price for it. I don't care that you're the number 1 penalty kill in the league. You're eventually going to pay the price for it, especially when you're giving the Bruins a 5-on-3 for 2 minutes like they did. And that's what happened. They got the 3-2 goal, and you could just tell the momentum was lost for Carolina at that moment. And the Bruins had it all. The crowd was going nuts, and they just ripped through Carolina in the third period. and they tied that series up. A missed opportunity, period, for Carolina, because you would have thought that was a great spot for them to really take a strangle. Now they got a series on their hands, and they've given this Bruins team some confidence. Although credit to Cassidy, 2 moves, Andrew, that have paid off, reuniting the perfection line, Marchand, Bergeron, and Pasternak, and it worked wonders for them. They did a tap dance all over Carolina in those 2 games in Boston. And then changing goalies, Jeremy Swayman, the last 2 games, replacing Linus Ullmark. Not that Ullmark was totally at fault in the first 2 games, but it was a spark. It was a wake-up call, and it worked. So Boston's got real momentum and belief here, and that's a dangerous thing for Carolina. But I go back to the same point, Andrew. I think 5-on-5, they're better than Boston. I think if this stays a 5-on-5 game tonight, they're going to win the game, and that's the way I'm going to approach it here. So, I'm tied to Carolina in the series. I can't say I love that you got to lay a -150 price with them in this game, but I certainly lean in that direction. I haven't bet it yet. Because we've got the bet cast yet, I might jump on a Carolina live bet at some point. Maybe look for a better price. Certainly Carolina or pass for me. I'm not ready to abandon ship on the Hurricanes, and I've got to see Boston win in Carolina, which they have not done so far in this series. But I do lean that way. I might wait till the bet cast, though, get a better price. And look, from a total standpoint, I know the total's been bumped up to 6, Andrew, but sometimes styles make fights. And look, 4 straight games, they've all flown over the total. So it's difficult to make a case for an under right now in this series as well. What do you think here, Andrew? Boston, Carolina, Game 5.
Yeah, Ian, a lot of the stuff that you just said, I'm right there on the same page as you. 9 power plays for the Boston Bruins. What I've been preaching in this series all series long is that, as weird as it sounds, I like the third line versus the third line for the Boston Bruins on Carolina. I think that third line and even, of course, the second line for Carolina create more. And if you give me a larger scale, a larger sample size of 5-on-5 hockey out there, the numbers and statistics will do what they do and prove who the better team is. You give one team 9 power plays, it's going to be a different story. The analytics the eye test is going to tell a different story. So, power plays are a big part of the game, Ian, especially this year in the playoffs. But
yes,
we're talking about 9. I feel like Allen Iverson here. We're talking about power plays. We're talking about practice. You know what I mean? We're talking about not talking about regular 5-on-5 goals. We're talking about power plays, and to me, it's a little bit different. And heading back to Carolina, it's such an exciting building. Hats off! I tip my hat to Boston for tying up the series, especially that second game. But I guess what really is my biggest decider for liking this is the fact that it's not like all of those goals were scored 5-on-5. Many of them weren't. And I mean, actually, Boston didn't have an unbelievable power play that game. But when you're constantly on the power play, even if you don't score, it takes away time from the other team's best players being out there. And you take a look at the goal scorers for Boston in that last game. If we read it off from start to finish, Patrice Bergeron, DeBrusk, Marchand, Pasternak, Marchand. So besides DeBrusk there, who's the guy you wouldn't expect to score? Who's that guy that you were like, damn, he was like plus 300 to score a goal? Nobody, and that's the thing. That's why I like it. One prop that might surprise you, Ian, I've kind of found today, and I've done a pretty good job with these low volume ones. Jordan Staal has 1 shot this year in the series. I'm taking him over 1.5 shots on goal tonight, -120. That third line will be the difference, I think, for Carolina. And it's not like I'm really following a trendy pick in this one. It's Staal over 1.5 shots, and I think the depth will be the difference here in this one.
His playoff numbers are very good, by the way, Jordan Staal. I think the goal scoring, and look, we saw him score in Game 4 on Sunday.
And that's his 1 shot.
Yeah. No, I think that's one to look at. He's just one of those guys, just an all-around glue guy. And look, he's the captain, because he's got the leadership quotient in the locker and the dressing room as well. But yeah, he's one of those players that can elevate usually when his team needs him the most. And Jordan Staal, don't be surprised if he makes a little imprint on the game tonight here for the Carolina Hurricanes as well. By the way, we've got one of our favorite betting situations in terms of player props in play tonight. Marty Necas moving to the country. Going to meet me, Marty Necas. Marty Necas is moving up to the second line for the Carolina Hurricanes now. A little line juggling now from Rod Brind'Amour after a couple of losses in a row. He'll be playing with Trocheck and Teravainen, and Natchez has been in the bottom six, for most of this series. So keep an eye on that. Those are good prop situations. He's going to be on that second line, playing with two pretty good players too. With you talk about Trocheck and Teravainen. So look out. That could be a good prop value player tonight for Carolina. Martin Necas playing on that right wing second line here. Goal scorer prop, look for points maybe. That's always the kind of situation that you can look at as positive expectation. No change in the top line. Svechnikov, Aho, and Jarvis. Rod Brind'Amour's not changing that line. He's going to end up definitely keeping that line together. They've been pretty good throughout the series. So, like I say, I like Carolina in the over. I'm going to see if I can get better than minus 150 on the betcast, and I'm going to see if I can get better than 6 as far as the total is concerned on the betcast as well. But I certainly lean in both of those directions here with Game 5. And, of course, I'm locked in already with Carolina to win the series from before it started. So, obviously, we're hoping for good things with the Canes. Sorry, Alex. I know Alex is on the Bruins here, but it's cool. I like that. We've got a little friendly little.
They made it competitive, mode. So they made it competitive.
They have, and it's anybody's series now, just like it is for this next year, just like it is for all of them tonight.
I want to go on record, Ian. I think if the Carolina Hurricanes win, I think they win by margin, and that puck line at 170 is a pretty good number there.
Yeah,
I might even split it and do half and half with the money line and puck line.
Yeah, I would, like I say, with many of these games, they've been 2 goals or more for the most part. Florida-Washington was the only exception last night. Other than that, everything else has been these 2-goal margins or greater than that. Tampa Bay-Toronto, another series where we've seen each team pretty much win by margin in every game. We've got Toronto minus 110. It's actually pretty much up. That's minus 130, actually. That's a typo. It's Toronto minus 130 here on home ice, and the total 6.5 pretty much across the board in this one. Look, I'm really not going to deviate much from the way this series has progressed. I expect Toronto's best tonight. At home, I expect them to be extremely strong. They've been resilient. We saw how they responded after game 2 of this series. They played a great game 3. Here's their other next opportunity now. And look, the place, if Scotiabank Arena, because this place has been ridiculed and criticized for years at playoff time as being a place filled with suits, place filled with people that just don't make a lot of noise, that really don't get their team, fired up during the game when they need the crowd to make noise or they're trailing by a goal in a playoff game. This Scotiabank Arena crowd has been criticized for years that they don't bring that energy. They don't bring that level of noise. I heard a different arena in game 1 and in game 2, especially game 1. I couldn't believe how loud that place was. And when you see the camera pan around to all the faces in the building, it looks like a younger crowd. And it doesn't look like as many suits are in the building anymore. And it's made a legit impact to make this a stronger home ice here for the Toronto Maple Leafs in the playoffs. And I expect them to feed off that here tonight. I do like Toronto in the first period a little bit. I'm going to go for a little -0.5. Just for a little bit extra bang for your buck. You get a nice plus price on that. That's my one pregame bet. Toronto at -130. I lean that way. But again, let's see if we can maybe get something better than that on the betcast tonight. Take advantage of the fact we've got a betcast tonight. And you don't always have to bet pregame the prices that are out there. You can always look for something better in game. And that's probably what I'm going to do here. And here's another one, 6.5 with the total. It's difficult right now. With these to make these cases for unders at the moment, other than the Calgary-Dallas series, where we've seen just consistently that series pretty much go under the total. So I would lean to that direction as well. But again, with any over at 6.5, especially again with the betcast tonight, we'll wait to see if we can get maybe a little bit of a better number during the game. I think Ilya Mikheyev is a good prop for the Leafs just because I'd expect him to show up with a big game. David Kampf keeps getting chances and keeps finding ways to score goals. If you want to go bargain bin shopping, you could go with David Kampf centering that third line. Bunting, Matthews, and Marner still on the top line. It doesn't look like there's any major changes for the Tampa Bay Lightning up front. It's still going to be Palat, Stamkos, Kucherov, Killorn, Point, Cirelli, the top 6, with Colton, Paul, and Hagel being the third line. So for me, it would be pretty much Tampa Bay props. I'd look more toward the third line guys, who I think have been impactful. I think when Hagel, Paul, and Colton have been out on the ice, they've always made something happen, in this series. So I think if you're looking for value in your player props, you're looking more toward those third line guys for Tampa Bay, not just, the big guns in that top 6 group. So it's a great game. I just think I'm going to stay that it's true to form here, that the pattern remains in place here, the zigzag, back and forth we go. And I'll tell you right now, if Toronto wins tonight and goes up 3-2, you already know who I'm going to be on in game 6. You already know, because as far as I'm concerned, Toronto has to win tonight to get this to game 7, because I'm already assuming they're not winning game 6. We know Tampa Bay off a loss and Vasilevsky off a loss, that incredible streak. So I think Toronto tonight needs to win this game to play themselves into a game 7, as far as I'm concerned, because I'd be shocked if they won a game 6, if they win this game tonight. What do you think, Andrew? Tampa, Toronto?
Yeah, Ian, I'm just going to keep it short and simple. I'm going to go with over 6.5 here. There's nothing that I've seen in this series that has convinced me that unders belong. We've seen unders in this series. We've seen it, but it's because it was pure domination on one part and the game flow changed. But like I said to you a few moments ago, once we get into these 5, 6, 7 games, we're going to see closer, more back and forth, and I think more of a full effort, the full 60, and not just packing it in if you're down 4 or 5 goals. I haven't seen any 7s out there, and I'm kind of surprised by that. I think that whether it's early or late, I feel like we continue to see goals. Vasilevsky, unbelievable goaltender. Jack Campbell, I think he's great as well. But I think there's just so much talent out there, especially 2 great power plays that can score and get the job done. I'll say this. I really do believe if you're betting this game and you like the Maple Leafs, you should be betting first period and full game. Split bet on both. I think that it is crucial for them to win that first period. Not just tie it, win it. If they can, because that is when the crowd
totally
matters.
Agree. Yep.
That's when the crowd matters the most. Some people will say they matter in the third period, but I disagree. I think the crowd matters the second that, the puck drops in the first 5 to 10 minutes. What happened in Tampa Bay? Quick goal a minute into the game. So that's just a little extra point I wanted to make, is that, I'm mad at myself, Ian, for in Tampa Bay not taking my own advice. I just took Tampa first period. But if you feel as if they're going to win that, then you probably feel they're going to win the full game, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, with the price being offered, plus 160, plus 165 is what you can get with Toronto puck line now in the first period. And Tampa Bay, we saw that would have cashed easily around the same price in game 4. No doubt about that. So I think that's a good way to go. I expect them to be storming. And the legendary Leaf voice, Joe Bowen, who's been at it since 1982, I think, as voice of the Leafs, is on Twitter all day today. Get in your seats for the anthem. Get in your seats for the opening puck drop. Don't get your popcorn. Don't get your hot dog. Don't get your beer. Or if you're going to get it, way before the game starts. Get in your seats in time for the anthem, in time for the opening face-off, and be ready to make that difference for your team tonight, because they need you. They need you to be there. When the game's starting, they need you to be loud. He was basically going on with some tweets about that. So,
well, how you hear people say that there's always 2 sides to a story?
Yeah.
Every Leaf fan keeps on saying now on Twitter, like, it's not our fault that they have like some of the worst concession stands in the league.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's a new one. I've never heard that before. But they were like, yeah, if I get him, if I get in the beer line at 6:25 and I'm, getting out of there at like 6:50, it's not my fault.
Yeah.
I just honestly, I didn't even know what to say. I was like, fair play, I guess. Like,
I guess they need to hire more staff. I don't know.
Yeah.
They certainly have the money to pay MLSE to pay for more people to work. I mean, that's not the issue. Just
they
get
should
more
have
people.
Like dozens of people walking around just selling beer. I know when I went to the Bell Center, it was sold out. Guy Lafleur night, 21,000 people. Took me a minute to go get a beer somewhere. Wasn't hard. They make it that easy for a reason.
Yeah. No, it's you're right. Montreal's got a good way of going about it with the, they move around in between, there's one section, there's another section. They have the steps in between each section as the divider. And there's the people that are serving concessions, food, beer, whatever. They'll just walk around beer, and they'll just, anyone that wants to get it can order it from their seat. So So I'm on the first period puck line with Toronto. I like them in the full game too, but I'm going to see how this game plays out. Maybe we'll see some, because I don't want to jump in with the full game money line right now. And I've already got first period puck line. And what if they're tied or lose the puck line? They're tied or they're trailing, which, by the way, would be a horrible start to the game if the Leafs somehow are trailing, because then everybody's going to get tense and nervous. Maybe the players will as well. And that way, I don't want to load up now on minus 130 as well when I've already got the first period puck line, where if the first period puck line loses, then I'm going to get a better price on Toronto, at that point during the betcast tonight. Then we'll bet Toronto maybe at that time. So that's
Ian,
the approach.
I don't know if I've talked about this before, and obviously, we've got DraftKings who sponsors us and the Hockey Podcast Network. There's a few books that I have that have a question up. Will there be an empty net goal? Funny enough, that bet is plus 125 for every game on my sheet. I'd be curious what the numbers are.
I think you got to sprinkle something on every one of those to the yes. I mean, it's been an insane empty net season so far.
Yeah.
And now, plus you open up the possibility now these days, you could have a 3-goal lead and the coach is still pulling the goalie, the team for the team that's down by 3. It's not just anymore down by 1 or down by 2 that the goalie is being pulled. It's down by 3. Hell, with Dean Evison in some games for Minnesota, it's down by 4 goals and he's still pulling the goalie.
Well, and some of the books will offer which period will be the highest scoring period.
Yep.
And then you can just click third period.
Yep, that's an option too. And we're going to talk about it more with elimination. There's no elimination games tonight, but to test this with. But elimination games are coming. There's going to be a bunch after tonight, and we'll be getting in on that again. And by the way, the new over. Remember, it used to be over 1.5 in the third period. That's what we always jumped on. Well, now it's over 2.5 in the third period is the new over 1.5. Because look, they've made the adjustment. And even these over 2.5s in the third period, they're still great bets. It's not asking a lot. You're not pulling teeth, Andrew, to get 3 goals in the third period of an elimination game anymore. Yeah. So the over 2.5, you can don't feel bad. Oh, 1.5 is juiced. No, to hell with that. Get in on the 2.5. You're still going to have a great chance to cash.
Well, and that's the thing. Look at yesterday's game, Ian. I thought about taking the Colorado Avalanche game over the total full game. Didn't really look that good until the third period, right? So, if most people could bet that third period over pregame, I would have just told people that pay me for my picks, hey, take the third period over. But unfortunately, not every book has that. So I took I'm taking a look at the full game over and some of these elimination games. And in my head, I'm knowing that third period is probably going to be the deciding factor if that hits or not.
Yeah, no question about that. It's a good point you made right there for sure. Everyone making a big deal of Vasilevsky off a loss. Jack Campbell's turning into a nice little goaltender off a loss too, as of late. And remember what he did in Game 3 when the Leafs won in Tampa after losing Game 2. He was fantastic. The save he made on Stamkos in the third period, post to post, robbing him to preserve that lead, preserve that win. He was phenomenal in that game. So we've seen his ability to bounce back, and obviously he got pulled in Game 4 only because the team was so horrible that night, and they had to give him a rest, get Shalgren in there. Jack Campbell's got the mentality. He's got the right frame of mind to be very good after a rough Game 4, so we'll see if he can bring that for the Leafs tonight. All right, St. Louis and Minnesota next up. We've got the Wild minus 160 home favorite, 6.5 the total. Terry Edelman was going to be on the show, but he's working today. He couldn't make it, but I know he'll be watching this tonight with the Blues and the Wild. Man, I don't love minus 160. Like I said, it's unfortunate. All these sides, I don't love minus 150 with Carolina. I don't love minus 130 with Toronto. I don't love minus 160 with Minnesota, but I leaned all those 3 teams. And I'm not looking to bet the Blues or the Lightning or the Bruins tonight. So it's really a matter of, do we maybe take it in regulation now? Do we pay up at the minus 160? Or because we have the betcast, do we wait for a live bet? Or do we take Minnesota puck line first period? That's an option. And I think that might be what I do here. I'm already doing it with Toronto. I think I might do that here with Minnesota as well. That maybe in the first period they get the lead and it's the same price, plus 160. In that range with Minnesota, plus 150, plus 160 first period puck line. I think they do come out strong. Let's not forget, Andrew, this Blues blue line, it's a problem. Like, I know they won in game 4 in spite of all these defensive injuries. They overcame it and found a way, and they just dug down deep with all the injuries. They had to win that game. They did. Credit to them. But still, there were times they were hanging on for dear life, the Blues, with that lead in the third period. And when you look at the defensive situation here, Nick Leddy looks like he might play. That's the good news. Looks like he is going to return at least, but you're still without Marco Scandella. Robert Bortuzzo looks like actually he's going to play as well. So that's a couple reinforcements. That does help. But Scandella out. Torrey Krug, the big one, still out for the St. Louis Blues as well. So it's tougher to overcome that on the road. Why, Andrew? Because Dean Evason's going to get the line matchups he wants.
Exactly.
He's got last line change. He's going to be able, hey, I can pick on that third pair with Kaprizov and his line, or I can pick on that third pair with the second line, which has been so good with Gaudreau and Boldy. Not so much Fiala. Fiala's, we're waiting for Kevin Fiala to get going. I think at some point it will for him, but you're right. He's kind of had an underwhelming series for Minnesota, but I think tonight could be the night you get a little bit of an offensive explosion for him. So I'm going to go with the Minnesota first period puck line, just like I did with the Tampa-Toronto game. And I actually don't mind in the 3 games that we're talking about here, maybe not so much the LA game, but I've been really cashing in on these first period both teams to score. I took 3 of them last night, except Dallas-Calgary, Andrew, 3-0. Florida-Washington, over both teams to score first period, Rangers-Penguins, and also Colorado-Nashville. I think I'm going to sprinkle on that again tonight, at least in the first 3 games. Boston, Carolina, Tampa, Toronto in this game, because I think with such importance here, you're going to see both teams with an aggressive approach. So first period puck line, Minnesota, for first period, both teams to score, and lean to the over in the full game. And then we'll see what we can find for the betcast tonight in terms of some live value. What do you think here, Andrew? Blues Wild.
I'm just going to pass here. I don't really have many opinions. I'm looking forward to the game tonight. I'm curious to see if the zigzag hits the pause button in this one, but I have Blues in the series.
Yep,
and this one will kind of be a big one as far as that one, especially if they can steal one on the road. So actually I have a slight lean to the under. That's all I can really give, but it's just been so damn hard to bet an under in the NHL playoffs right now. But that's kind of where I would go if I was to bet this game.
Yeah, except for a couple Florida-Washington bad beat to the over.
Oh, don't remind me, please.
Those 2 that were 5-1 and 4-2. Oh my goodness! And those were.
And then the worst part, Ian, I didn't take the next one, and it went over.
Yeah, because of a last-minute goal that made it 6-1. I remember for Washington on Saturday afternoon. Yeah, I stuck to my guns, but I'll admit I was fortunate. That probably should have stayed under that game, Florida-Washington. But other than that series in Dallas-Calgary, every other series has been an overpalooza in every other first-round series besides those 2 for the most part. So that's why it is difficult. Even though you're seeing a 6.5, difficult to bet it under with Blues Wild as well. All right, final game tonight of this Tuesday card, LA Kings, Edmonton Oilers. We've got Edmonton minus 210, home favorites here, 6.5 the total in this game. I hate to be repetitive, but I think the Oilers do win. This price I can't get into, obviously, minus 210. It's just too big in my opinion here to back Edmonton at that number. This is probably a first period again that I lean to with the -0.5 on the puck line here with the Oilers, which you can get it once again at a pretty solid price. Not as much here, plus 130 with the first period puck line because they are a bigger favorite. But no, I'd expect back home that they come out strong, have a good chance to take the series lead here. Look, give Quick credit as well. What he did in Game 4 was fantastic. He needed a response. The whole team needed a response. Todd McClellan was livid after Game 3 when they got blown out 8-2 at Crypto Arena there in LA, and the Kings responded. You got to give them credit for it. We wondered if this young group was going to be able to pull up the bootstraps, save face after just 2 debacles in a row. They lose 14-2 on the scoreboard to the Edmonton Oilers in Game 2 and in Game 3 combined. And to see them have that resilience and that resolve and that character to bounce back, 31 save shutout from Jonathan Quick, which was great to see. Todd McClellan pushing the right buttons with the lineup. He puts Troy Stetcher in on the blue line. The guy scores a goal. I mean, talk about your lineup adjustments working for Todd McClellan. They certainly did in that game for the LA Kings, 4-0 shutout win. Now it's probably Edmonton's turn. Shutout loss on the road to bounce back, but you got to get creative. I'm not laying minus 210. Hell, I don't even love the regulation price either. I'll probably go with the first period puck line, just like I am with Minnesota and Toronto, and then just maybe look live in terms of what to look for after the opening period if we're able to cash that Oilers first period puck line. As far as props go, I'm going to stick, I'm going to be boring, stick with the same props. I mean, for me, it's Trevor Moore for the LA Kings. He's been spectacular.
Not boring
in
if
this
you're
series.
cashing, Ian. Not boring if you're cashing.
No, exactly. Keep riding it with him. He's been fantastic in this series. And for Edmonton, I'm going to just keep banking on Evander Kane, keep banking on Kyler Yamamoto, Zach Hyman. Those three, not that Connor and Leon won't have a big night tonight, but I'm looking for some of those other guys and a little more value in my props. And I'm looking at Hyman, I'm looking at Kane, Yamamoto. And I'm still going to say, even though it hasn't happened yet, Warren Fogel's going to score a goal in this series. He's done it before for Carolina. He's had chances. He hit a post, I think either the last game or the game before that. Warren Foegele, I think, will find the back of the net for the Oilers at some point. Andrew, what do you like here, Kings Oilers?
I'm going to go ahead and take the first period over. And I think, you can take 2 if you'd like, of course, to get that better number. But hats off to Smith as well. Everyone's talking about Quick, but Smith played well too in some games and in some scenarios, and they bailed out his team in certain spots. And I just think after what I saw in that last game, we see a Kings team that is so good at protecting a lead when they have it. So I expect Edmonton to just, instead of coming out safe, they're going to go full throttle from start to finish. That's really what I believe. I think they're going to go, first 5 to 10 minutes of that game is going to be shots on net galore. Whether or not they're quality or not, we'll find that out. But I think the first period will actually be the highest scoring period of the game. And I think that we're going to see both teams get involved. So 2 talented goaltenders here. I can't believe I'm even saying that about Mike Smith right now, but he's playing okay this series. I think that we can still get over in the first period. And that's the only way I'm really looking so far. I do think Edmonton responds. Don't love the money line price. Don't even love the puck line price. I'll just expect some goals early on here.
All right, over 1.5. It's funny. Andrew likes over 1.5 in this game. And this is the one game I'm a little bit hesitant to pull the trigger on both teams to score in the first period. And you know what? I could see 2-0 Edmonton, quite honestly. And that's so that I understand the over 1.5. Both goals could come from Edmonton, in a spot like this when you would think the Oilers are really going to come out storming, and maybe they put the clamps down on the Kings and Mike Smith's trying to bounce back off a loss, although that really wasn't on him too much. It was just, LA manned up. They played one hell of a game. They did. And now you'd think Edmonton, especially early, will play good. So I could see 2-0. That's why the over 1.5 first period could hit, even if, both teams to score first period does not in this game. So that's the way I'm approaching it. And just to remind you, yes, I am on the first period, both teams. I'll post it on Twitter because I did last night. Before the game started, I mentioned I'm on both teams to score first period at a plus price in the Rangers-Penguins game, the Florida-Washington game, and also the Nashville-Colorado game. And we went 3-0. I am going to be on the first period, both teams to score for Boston, Carolina, Tampa Bay, Toronto, and St. Louis, Minnesota. Tonight, we definitely will be at plus price. I mean, you can get as high as plus 150, 60 with the both teams to score first period in some of these books. So it's really good value. And we're seeing teams aggressive early. And it's not asking a lot these days with all the penalties as well to get a 1-1 score at some point in the first period. So it's been something that's been working. We'll see if it does once again tonight in this Tuesday night slate. Great stuff, Andrew. Great discussion, fun analysis here of this Tuesday slate. And we're not done yet. We've got the betcast tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. This is going to be a fun betcast. Like I said, all of these games are critical in this series, in these 4 series. Game 5, series tied 2-2, the swing game in each of these series. So we're looking forward to the betcast tonight. Remember, send me a DM if you want to join us on the betcast, and I'll make sure I send you a link to join us tonight on the betcast. And am I seeing things, or is that actually in our chat right now, Jarek Rubel? My goodness. This is someone that was with us, I think, early this year, certainly a lot last year. And man, we have not seen this guy in our chat for months. I was wondering if you were still alive, my friend. Seriously. Jarek Rubel, welcome back, my friend. Good to see you in the chat. Hope you've been doing well. That's awesome. It's great to see you back in the chat. Jarek Rubel, Andrew. This is a guy that was on the show with us last year and was on some of our betcasts last year, I
Yeah.
remember, and a special guest a couple of times. So wonder where the hell he went. Talk about can't find you with a telescope. Yeah, that was basically Jarek Rubel for the Ice Guys. Couldn't find you with a telescope. But yeah, life's been happening. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I mean,
Life
we are
does.
on like in the very middle of the day, so it's
Yeah.
hard to, maybe some people. I'd be curious to see, as far as the Ice Guys viewership goes, how many people will watch archive versus live.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, exactly.
people have lives, and middle of
Yep.
the day is tough.
No, it is. I mean, we usually get on average, and I see the number right now. I think anywhere from 150 to 200 live viewers. But then we get, I think by the end of the day, like some of these videos have 1,600 views,
Right.
so they pile on after the show ends, archived. So there's no question about that. And by the way, spread the word about the Ice Guys. The YouTube channel subscription numbers just keep on going up. We're going to hit 2.5K very soon, like in the coming days. We're going to get to the point where we can think 3K, 4K, 5K, and really continue to grow this thing. And it's been great to see, just the numbers for the subscriptions to the YouTube channel for the Ice Guys. So keep it up, guys. We appreciate it. Tell everyone that's a hockey fan interested in betting about the show. We're here 7 days a week, so definitely we appreciate that. And also DraftKings Sportsbook, great partners here, the THPN, the Ice Guys, all that. A reminder, new customers bet just $1 on any NHL team, get $150 in free bets if they win. If DraftKings Sportsbook isn't available in your state, you can play for huge cash prizes with DraftKings daily fantasy hockey contests. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings app, sign up for an account, use the promo code THPN, bet just $1 on any NHL team, get $150 in free bets if they win. That's promo code THPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Must be 21 years of age or older. Must reside in a DraftKings Sportsbook state. New customers only. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Download the DraftKings app. Sign up for an account. Use the promo code THPN. Yeah, you know what's funny about all the teams? MDR24 in the chat says I like Oilers team total over. I certainly lean team total over with all four teams that I like to win tonight: Carolina, Toronto, Minnesota, and Edmonton. And they're all, I believe, 3.5. So there's no 4.5s, not a 1. They're all 3.5, a reasonable number. So I think that's worth a look of some kind. I agree, especially if you're on my side of the fence here. You think those are the four teams that are going to be victorious tonight here in NHL action. Yeah, Jarek, don't worry about it. Jarek saying in the chat, it's been kind of shitty, the NHL this year for me. I had a horrible October, terrible. We battled through it, and it's ended up being a great season. I think it's kind of mirrors the same season Andrews had as well. Tough start, but boy, overall, lots to like.
Yeah, this has been the best season I've ever had. And I think a lot of it's just learning as you go. Yep. I think that every season is different, and that's what's cool about what we do. We don't just talk about sports. We have to analyze how each team performs, and as far as the odds go as well. So yeah, it's a marathon, and it's fun. So just like Jarek said, being responsible and being smart with your money. We all have things that we're working towards. Everyone bets different and all that kind of stuff. So it's when it comes down to it, we are all still gambling. I think it's important that we don't hide the fact that we're trying to, responsibly have educated guesses and predictions. But when it comes down to it, it is gambling. So just make sure that when you're betting, don't bet anything you can't afford to lose.
Yeah, exactly right. Thank you, Bob. Yeah, I mean, it was just silly. It's silly after the fact. It's easy to say it after the fact, but I also had Oilers team total over on Sunday in Game 4. But I did really like the Kings' first period in that game. I said, you know what, they are a team that we've seen them show some spine. We've seen them show some guts this year. And I figured after that debacle in Game 3, McClellan called them out, they would be better early in Game 4, and they certainly were. So I was happy to cash the Kings' first period, Game 4 on Sunday, but at the same time, I'm frustrated that I also trusted the Oilers to come back and win, and I also like the Oilers team total. But no, the first period over with the Kings was a good call. Appreciate the kind words there. All right. that's a wrap. We got best bets to wrap up the show, but remember, Betcast, we're back in 4 hours tonight with that at 7 p.m. Eastern. Best bets for this Tuesday card. Andrew, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet?
Give me Carolina. I'm taking them on the puck line, not reg, not money line. Give me the puck line there. You can get upwards of plus 170. 5-on-5, this team, I think, matches up perfect against the Boston Bruins. When we were in Boston, or they were in Boston, we saw a lot of penalty kills, a lot of power plays. And I'm not saying the story can be the same as far as that goes, but what I saw from the Bruins were just the top guys performing. I didn't see any depth guys stepping up, and that's why I'm not really worried. This series goes back to Carolina tonight, and I feel like they get the job done.
All right, and he's going to go for the extra value. Carolina Hurricanes, minus 1.5 round even money or actually more than that. That's the puck line is plus 155, plus 175.
That's what I said. Yeah, I got 70.
Yep.
Plus, that's a great price.
Yep, it is plus 175. Carolina Hurricanes puck line minus 1.5 for Andrew with his best bet. My best bet is going to be I'm going to go with Toronto first period. I mean, minus a half, plus 160, 65 even in some spots. It's just been one of those series where we have really seen, and not just the team that lost the previous game bouncing back in the next game, but the team that lost the previous game coming out really strong in the first period, like really strong. Tampa did in game 2. Toronto did in game 3. Tampa did in game 4. I think that's Toronto's turn tonight. Great value. Just to have the lead after the first period, minus a half, plus 165. Toronto Maple Leafs for me for best bet on this Tuesday NHL card. And of course, we got plenty. I'll be getting involved a lot with the Betcast tonight with live bets, because with a lot of these teams I like, I'm going to see if I can get a better price during the Betcast. So make sure you join us. We're back tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern, live Betcast for the Ice Guys Stanley Cup Playoffs edition right here. Again, DM me if you want to a link to the Betcast, and we'll make sure we get you on during the Betcast tonight. A reminder, the Ice Guys pod is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. Andrew Goss on the show tomorrow, Derek Roy on Thursday. Who have we got Friday? I'm trying. Ray Bryce on Friday, Daryl Bootland on Saturday. It just goes on and on with the guests. Perry DeRiso on Sunday. Next week and beyond, we're going to have Carl Alsner. We're going to have Grant Arnold on. We're going to have Brett McLean on again. Goes on and on and on with the guests. Plenty more still to come. Casey Nelson's going to join us down the road, former Buffalo Sabre. I mean, tons of guests still on the way here for our Stanley Cup playoff shows. So looking forward to that.
I got to ask you, and how was it with Fournier? Did you let him know that I was a big fan?
Yes. Oh, yeah, he knows. You're a Halifax guy. I pointed that out. He was thumping his chest saying the Mooseheads were the best team of all time, CHL. And then I said, well, hold on now. The London Knights are going to say something about that from the 2000s, and Jerome McGinley's Kamloops Blazers from the 90s. They're in the discussion, though. Like I said, I'll agree. I said to Stefan, like, I agree with you there. You're in the mix.
It was crazy. Yeah. It was an unbelievable team to watch. I mean,
yes.
I've never seen it. And in the QMJHL, Halifax has one of the bigger arenas because we don't have a pro team.
Yep.
I've never seen a building get sold out for so many blowouts. Like,
yes.
You're showing up to see a game where the Mooseheads are going to win like 9-2, but it was still a sold out arena. Yeah, it was incredible. I tuned in for like a couple minutes of that while I was out, I think. And I thought I heard him talking about Martin Ferk, and I was happy to hear him mention him because he was a crucial part of that team. And even though he didn't make it the big jump to the NHL, he's done well in the minors and playing for the pros a little bit.
And he's gotten a glimpse or two with the Kings. With the big club.
But he was a big part of that team too. So that's the thing. You look at that team, but yeah, it's cool. Fournier was the guy. He played in the top line. He played with McKinnon actually in a lot of the games.
Yep. No, he was a big, and he was one of the leaders. I think he captain, if I'm not mistaken.
Co-captain,
was co-captain. Yeah. So definitely one of the leaders of that group. By the way, he is, I believe, going to join us again later in the playoffs, Stephen Fournier. So we will have him on a second time. There are a couple of the guests we've had that they'll be joining us a second time. So that'll be good as well later in the playoffs. But that's a wrap. We'll see you for the Betcast tonight. For Andrew McInnis, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. We'll see you at 7 p.m. Eastern. Ice Guys live Betcast presented by the Hockey Podcast Network.
Bye.